40 million Americans, or 12.9% of the population, lived in poverty. This translates to roughly 1 in 9 Americans struggling to meet their basic needs. Child poverty has seen a particularly sharp rise, doubling from 5.2% to 14.4% in just 1 year. This translates to over 14 million children living below the poverty line. Explore America's top 10 poorest cities. 10. Bloomington, Indiana. 32.3% of Bloomington residents live below the poverty line, exceeding the national average of 12.6%. This translates to over 20,000 individuals struggling to meet basic needs. Child poverty is even more alarming, with nearly 40% of children falling under the poverty line. This paints a bleak picture for the city's future generation. Racial disparities exacerbate the issue. Black residents have a poverty rate of 36.5%, more than twice the rate of white residents at 16.5%. Hispanic residents also face a significantly higher poverty rate of 27.9%. Bloomington's housing costs have skyrocketed in recent years, outpacing wage growth. This puts immense pressure on low-income individuals and families, forcing them into difficult choices and potentially pushing them into poverty. 9. Reading, Pennsylvania. According to the latest American Community Survey data, 35.4% of Reading residents live below the poverty line, a figure significantly higher than the national average of 12.6%. This translates to over 28,000 people struggling to make ends meet. Reading was even dubbed the poorest small city in America in 2011, with a poverty rate of 41.3%. While the rate has decreased slightly since then, the situation remains dire. Child poverty is particularly alarming, with nearly 45% of children in Reading living in poverty. This translates to limited access to basic necessities like food, healthcare, and education, perpetuating a cycle of disadvantage. The decline of heavy industry has resulted in a significant loss of manufacturing jobs, a major source of employment for Reading residents. The remaining job market often consists of low-wage service jobs that offer limited financial security. 8. Flint, Michigan. Flint, once a bustling industrial hub, has faced a decades-long struggle with poverty. The city's poverty rate currently stands at 35.5%, significantly higher than the national average of 12.6%. This translates to over 28,900 residents living below the poverty line. The burden of poverty is not borne equally. Certain demographics, particularly females aged from 25 to 34, males aged 6 to 11, and males aged 18 to 24, face a higher risk of falling into poverty. Additionally, the Black community is disproportionately affected, with a higher poverty rate compared to other racial groups in Flint. Child poverty paints an even bleaker picture, with 58% of children under 18 falling below the poverty line, compared to the national rate of 18%. Flint, a city once synonymous with American industrial might, now grapples with an issue far starker than declining factory smokestacks: a persistent and pervasive poverty rate. 7. Greenville, North Carolina. Greenville, often touted for its economic boom and vibrant downtown, faces a stark reality: a growing poverty rate. Greenville's poverty rate, hovering around 22.5% for the metro area and 25.2% for the city itself, significantly higher than the national average of 12.6%. This translates to over 33,000 individuals living below the poverty line in the city alone. Certain groups are disproportionately affected. The highest poverty rates are among Black residents, 35.8%, followed by Hispanics 25.2%, and whites, 12.2%. Young adults from 18 to 24, and single mothers are particularly vulnerable, with poverty rates of 43.17% and 39.28%, respectively. 6. Birmingham, Alabama. According to a report from the U.S. Census Bureau, the poverty rate in Birmingham was 26.2%, which is higher than the national average of 12.6%. The poverty rate is even higher for some groups of people in Birmingham, such as children 32.5%, and African Americans, 35.1%. This translates to roughly 1 in 5 residents living below the poverty line. The burden of poverty falls disproportionately on Birmingham's black community. The poverty rate for black residents is a staggering 35.1%, compared to 12.3% for white residents. 1 in 6 Birmingham residents faces food insecurity, meaning they lack consistent access to adequate and nutritious food. This issue is particularly acute in low-income neighborhoods and among families with children. 5. Detroit, Michigan. As of 2023, Detroit's poverty rate hovers around 30%, nearly triple the national average of 12.6%. This translates to roughly 270,000 residents living below the poverty line. The situation is even more alarming for children. Detroit's child poverty rate exceeds 43%, meaning over 2 out of every 5 children in the city struggle with poverty. Poverty disproportionately affects Detroit's black community, with a poverty rate of over 40% compared to 18% for white residents. 4. San Marcos, Texas. 30.6% of San Marcos residents live below the poverty line, significantly exceeding the national average of 12.6%. This translates to roughly 18,000 individuals living in poverty within the city's 59,000 population. The median household income in San Marcos sits at $47,394, which is lower than the national median of $64,163. Specific demographics are disproportionately affected. Young women aged from 18 to 24 and young men in the same age group experience the highest poverty rates. Additionally, white residents make up the largest group living in poverty, followed by Hispanic and black residents. 3. Cleveland, Ohio. As of 2022, Cleveland's overall poverty rate stands at 31.2%. This is significantly higher than the national average of 12.6%, making Cleveland one of the poorest large cities in the United States. This translates to over 105,000 Clevelanders struggling to meet their basic needs for food, housing, and other necessities. The situation is even more concerning for children. Cleveland's child poverty rate is a staggering 45.5%, the highest among large U.S. cities. This means nearly half of the city's children are living in poverty. This means over 33,500 children lack basic necessities like food, housing, and healthcare. While somewhat better, poverty still affects 15.4% of older adults in Cleveland, highlighting the need for better support systems for this vulnerable population. 2. Jackson, Mississippi. Jackson, the capital city of the Mississippi state, grapples with a persistent and concerning issue: poverty. The city's poverty rate stands at 26.1%, significantly higher than the national average of 12.6%. This translates to over 39,000 residents living below the poverty line, struggling to meet their basic needs for food, shelter, and healthcare. Poverty disproportionately affects black residents in Jackson. Nearly 38% of black residents live in poverty compared to 12% of white residents. Even when people can find jobs, they often don't pay enough to make ends meet. The median household income in Jackson is only $42,193, which is well below the national average of $64,163. 1. Pharr, Texas. Pharr, a city in the Rio Grande Valley of Texas, grapples with a significant poverty rate, impacting over 28% of its residents. This figure translates to roughly 25,600 individuals living below the poverty line, painting a stark picture of economic hardship within the community. According to various sources, the poverty rate in Pharr ranges from 28.9% to 32.5%, considerably exceeding the national average of 12.6%. This means that nearly 1/3 of the city's population lives below the poverty line. The burden of poverty falls unevenly across different demographics. Females, particularly those between the ages of 25 and 34. Children aged 6 to 11 are disproportionately affected. Additionally, the Hispanic community experiences a higher poverty rate compared to other racial groups. While Pharr's median household income, $45,016, is slightly higher than some neighboring cities, it remains insufficient to meet the basic needs of a significant portion of the population.